Good
Hey,
morning.
welcome back. We're live. We're a little late, but we're live. I'm alive. How about you? Check
I
your
think I'm
pulse.
alive. Let's see. Yes, yes, all good, all good. So we almost didn't make it today because I was working on my class. I'm starting to do classes, and I have to start pre-recording a bunch of stuff. But anyway,
Very nice.
wow.
I'm glad you're keeping busy.
I'm trying because we're making food to go. We're just starting this week. It's going well. We sell a lot.
Oh, good.
Um, Food is it's expensive to make food, huh? Ooh.
Yeah. Well, good food.
Good food, exactly. It's really expensive to make good food, so we're trying to figure out the pricing and stuff. But we're making really good food. It's all organic. It's all like, yeah. So we'll see.
I can't wait to try some.
You have to. They're
Yeah.
cooking it right now.
Okay.
Delivery every Thursday.
I suppose now you're going to tell me I have to order it in order to get it.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't seem fair, but all right, I'll do it.
It's not fair.
Life is not fair. So I went and waited in line today at Andronico's, our local supermarket. It's now owned by Safeway, but they've gone back to being Andronico's, and it's a whole new world, isn't it?
I usually put my mask and I get gloves,
Mm-hmm.
and I go do all my stuff with my gloves. And by the time I go to pay, I get my thing away and done.
Well, I bought a whole bunch of stuff today, and then I got up to the checkout counter and found out that they're completely out of bags. You know, they won't let you bring your own shopping bag now. So they're out of bags. So I noticed that they had all these boxes piled up in the front of the store.
Oh my God.
I had to load and I might not have bought as much as I did had I known I was going to have to carry it home in a box because I walked. So it's kind of funny. And I had a 4-pack of these Boddington pub ale that I like. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to need one of these when I get home.
Before I get home.
Yeah. Stop on the way and have a cold.
James, also, I have a lot of chefs that are that have asked me to be on the show anyway. So we're gonna. I think we should have a chef every day. We have chefs. They have a lot of stories to tell, and they can talk about food and stuff like that. So
great.
All my chefs are available, and the other one are kind of working a little.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all up for having guest appearances.
Tomorrow, maybe we can have Chef Gabi. We're gonna ask him.
Gabi would be great. Gabi is he is a classically trained chef, right? He's worked in Michelin
many places, including La Tour d'Argent in Paris, and we can talk about that tomorrow. But it's a restaurant that was open in 1580s under Henry III.
It's very, very old, and it's considered one of the greatest restaurants
in the world.
Still
open today, by the way. It's Ile Saint Louis, and they're very famous for their duck press. Le canard à l'orange and the duck press. It's cool. We'll talk about it tomorrow because I want to actually get a picture of that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they're probably not actually open for business this week.
Right,
but hopefully soon.
I know.
You think they're doing duck à l'orange to go?
I don't even know what they do. Like,
folded in a little shape.
Everybody's closed in France. They are trying to reopen in France. I know because I see a lot of French stuff going on. They're trying to reopen with young people going to work and keeping the old people. How do you say that? Like contain or
like still sheltered at home.
Everybody that's old or not very healthy, she needs to stay home, while the other people go to work and try to revive the economy. I don't know.
Well, good thing you and I are young. We can go back to work.
I'm working all the time, man.
Well, I
don't get paid, but
yeah, I'm not getting paid either. That's okay. We do it for the glory.
All right.
Well, I do have some questions to answer.
To me, or in like?
No, I have questions directed to the two of us. And the first one is a question that actually, this is from a student from Kitchen on Fire, but I actually, a clerk at Trader Joe's asked me this question the other day because I was buying some tequila. This is a couple of weeks ago. I think it was even before the shutdown, and I was buying some tequila, and he wanted that's exactly what he wanted to know. He says, which one of these has the worm in it?
The lime.
So the question is, first of all, what's the difference between tequila and mezcal? And then a follow-up is, which one has the worm, and is it true that the worm is hallucinogenic? So let me start by explaining the difference between tequila and mezcal. They're very, very similar. They're made in a somewhat similar manner. There's some differences. But the biggest difference is that in order to be categorized as tequila, the spirit, it's made from the juice that's extracted from the heart of the agave plant, which is a spiky leafed plant in the lily family of all things.
Oh, and wow. It's a grass. It's very grass. It's very grass, like a. How
like
do you call
century,
yeah.
Like a century plant, and they're very beautiful. They take a long time to grow. But tequila is made from this, and it has to be made within the state of Jalisco, and a little bit in a neighboring state as well. There's a little bit broader zone, but mostly in Jalisco, which is where the town of Tequila actually is, which is named for a tribe of Indians that are indigenous people that were there prior to the Europeans.
Wow, nice.
That's where the name comes from anyway. But
okay.
And also tequila has to be made, at least 51% of it has to be from the blue agave, or the Weber Azul, which is a particular strain of agave. And the good tequilas, of course, are made from 100% blue agave. They're entirely blue agave, and they can be really incredible. Now, mezcal, on the other hand, it can be made from any kind of agave and can be made anywhere in Mexico, although the area is somewhat contained where they grow these things. And out of the like 400 varieties of agave, they only use about a half a dozen or so to make mezcal. But they have a little bit more leeway. There's a lot more mezcal made than tequila, which means just by the percentages, there's probably a lot more bad mezcal than there is bad tequila. But there are some excellent mezcals made. It's sort of got a reputation as the poor cousin to tequila, and it gets put down a lot. But these days, they're making some fabulous mezcals. And another one of the differences is when they sort of steam the heart of the agave to extract.
What is that for? That's for grinding, right?
That's for grinding down the core, yeah. For mezcal, they often cook it over smoke, which gives mezcal a kind of a smoky flavor like scotch.
Yeah, right.
Some are much more pronounced than others, but they all have a little bit of that.
Is it like a whiskey? How to do whiskey?
Well, it's similar in the distillation process, but of course, again, it's not made from grain. It's made from the agave plant.
No, but the smoky part, like Jalisco and stuff like that.
Very similar, yeah. Similar to the way they make scotch. They dry the malt over these peat fires. They don't use peat in Mexico, of course, but they get these burning embers, and then they put it in the ground and they let it smoke up through. And I think they have more modern methods today they use kilns and things to dry these things. So that's the difference. In other words, all tequila is mezcal, but not all mezcal is tequila. And tequila, they both can be extraordinary spirits.
I love tequila. I think it's a.
I do too.
There's something really so cool. It tastes really good. I like the effect of it. I like. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, but I love tequila.
I do too.
I don't drink.
I didn't. I didn't used to like drinking tequila straight years and years ago, because all I knew it straight was when we used to do shots, you know, and it was always terrible tequila, and I didn't really. But then at Cesar, I started discovering all these really, really good tequilas, and they're fabulous to just drink neat, straight up. They're wonderful. They're also, of course, I love margaritas, but there he is. There he's got the heart of the agave there, and that gets cooked down, pressed and cooked, and then they extract the liquid and let it ferment, and then they put it into a still and distill it into a spirit. So very cool stuff. So the other part of the question was, which one has the worm? And the answer is hardly any of them do. But mezcal, there used to be real cheap mezcals. Just as a gimmick, they would put this worm, and it's actually the larva of a certain type of moth that likes to eat the agave, and that's what it is. It's like a bug.
They can't. The fact that it's in alcohol, it loses. I mean, whatever properties it has, it's like destroy this thing.
Yeah, and it's really a gimmick. I mean, it was put in there to sell mezcal to the tourists.
It's an old tradition also, that in some case when you find that's what, when I was in Mexico, that's what the people were telling me what I was drinking. I was drinking a lot at the time. That was fun. And the idea is, when you have a worm, you open the bottle of tequila, even if you're 2 or 3 people, you need to finish the bottle and you need to share the worm.
Right.
But you can't stop midway. You have to finish the bottle.
There's also a tradition of eating worms in general, like in Oaxaca, the little maguey worms. Those are a delicacy. They sell them at the markets, and they fry them on these flat pans.
Well, James, remember the story of that old woman? She was asked 3 questions. She's like, Grandma, I'm going to give you an example. They put a worm in a glass of alcohol, and the worm died.
Oh, yeah.
They put the worm in a glass of water, and the worm lived. And then people ask to the grandmother, so what's your conclusion? Can you see? It's like, well, if you have worms.
If you drink tequila, you won't have worms. Yeah. It's in no way is it a sign of quality, and it's not hallucinogenic. It's no more hallucinogenic than the tequila itself. Although if you drink enough tequila or mezcal, you might start seeing things.
Yeah, any alcohol,
like
any alcohol, if you don't have
police sirens in your rear view mirror, is what you'll often see. And it's true also, if you eat the worm along with LSD, it is hallucinogenic.
Along with
LSD or mescaline or something like that.
Mescaline. Oh my God. Do you remember the story of Don Juan? Do you remember that? Do you remember Carlos Castaneda?
Yeah, I read those books when I was very
I read all those books too. This guy is from California. He was an ethnologue in the 60s.
Right.
And he wrote all those stories. And in my restaurant in Paris, one day I had, do you remember the name of the ex-boxing champion from Mexico? Alvarez, what's his name?
Yes.
He came to my restaurant with a woman, an old woman, that she said that the Don Juan was actually a woman.
Oh, really?
I'm like, sure. I mean,
could be.
Those stories, man, anybody can say any story. But the guy was, he came because a friend knew that boxer. He was the world champion. He came to my restaurant with that woman. She was a documentarist, and she said she met Don Juan, and Don Juan was actually a woman. She was an old woman.
Well, it makes sense because in those cultures, a lot of the people that are the healers and the herb collectors and that know all that,
it's true,
often are the women.
Exactly.
So
it's possible.
If in fact the character was real, then I would have trouble believing it was actually Doña Juana.
And the thing that one of the questions, just since we talked about this, because this is very important, how what is his name? Carlos Castaneda was asking Don Juan, how do you know all these plans? How do you know all these secrets? And Don Juan responded, because they told me. I
Yeah.
love that. I love the fact that in the old days, people had time to look to see what was going on, and there was a lot of empiric learning.
Yeah.
And people today, and that's a thing I have an issue with. Today, people talk about empiric learning as not a good way of learning, where they need those, for example, for medicine, they need all these randomized try. Yeah, I understand that, but I understand also that the medicine was invented empirically, and I don't see why it should be problem today when some stuff work, but because it was not randomized, it cannot be applied. It's kind of interesting how the whole thing has shifted, where Western medicine has a different way of approaching. Medicine was there before. People need to understand that this is before. Medicine came after. Western medicine came after, with a lot of time, the same medicine, the same plant, and the same thing, except not as potent. So,
Well, and if it hadn't been for all those ancient herbalists and healers, we wouldn't know what we know today. I mean, science
exactly.
is a funny thing because you don't really benefit from science in your own time. You're laying more foundation for what comes after you because
So true. So true. Because when you make a discovery, then that open up a new question.
I mean, we're so spoiled today because you can go to the library, you can go to Wikipedia, or you can, on your phone, you have access to such limitless information.
Yeah.
Not all of it accurate, but a lot of it is. And, we just think we know everything. And, there was a time where people didn't know, and it took a lot of time. And
too much information is, yeah.
I mean, we look back on centuries past and we are amused at how much they didn't know. I mean, even back to when people thought the earth was flat, or that the earth revolved around the sun and all
I
that.
still think that.
I mean, the sun revolved around the earth, and yeah.
Some people still think the earth is flat. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm curious about that too. I want to meet one of those people because I have questions for them.
No, they need to go to Antarctica, or they need to go to the end, take a picture, and then come back.
They need to just go up in an airplane. You go up at 30,000 feet, you can see pretty clearly that the earth curves.
You can see kind of, you don't really see, because you need to see, the thing is, it's so big, you can't really see the curve until you're really far.
Well, except if the earth was flat, if you were at 30,000 feet, you should be able to see China, but you can't. I just want to know, my biggest question for those flat earthers,
I see.
Is there a railing? Because I think it'd be really scary if there was no railing at the edge.
There's a handicap railway.
Yeah. And God, what if you dropped your phone or something over the side?
Well, there's a phone number.
Maybe they have a net underneath. I don't know. I've never met one, so one of these days I'll meet one and ask them.
I know. I don't know where they are. I think, yeah.
Well, I have another question here we may have time for, and it's kind of a silly question, but
yeah,
it's not that silly. Someone wanted to know, what are the 3 most important skills to learn first when you're learning how to cook? I don't know how they came up with 3. People love to quantify, but what would you say? First one, some basic knife skills, maybe.
I would say, the one of the skill that is really important, I think, is how would you say that? Not panic. Like
to keep your head, to keep.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's just cooking, so there's no need to freak out, or unless you're really, really terrible. The food is gonna be still edible. Might not be the best food. It might not work the way you want, but it's gonna be, food.
What if you have 20 guests arriving in a couple of hours? Can you freak out then?
Yeah. Remember what we have this advice, James, on never try a meal with guests.
Right. Well, I have 10 people coming for a dinner party tonight. I think I'll try to make this dish that I've never attempted before.
And I'm gonna go shop. I'm gonna go shop now.
I used to have dinner parties.
The next one would be sorry.
I used to have dinner parties in New York years ago, and I would decide, oh, I was going to make fresh pasta, so I'd have pasta hanging all over the kitchen from broom
Wow.
handles and stuff, and I'd be cooking sauces, and it was a lot of work, and I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of work, but it's fun to throw parties. So my second one would be yeah, knife skill, mise en place. That's a big one.
Mise en place, yeah.
Mise en place, huge one. If you once you get to that level of organizing your work before you start cooking, you're gonna save so much time, and the food is gonna be good because you don't have to think about all these things. You're focusing on the meal, which is really cool. It's very important.
I would say heat is another one, like knowing how to manage the heat on your stove, like knowing like what heat to cook on. People like
seasoning
high or too low.
I would say seasoning.
Seasoning, yeah.
How to season well. So
how to saute. Saute is pretty basic. That's a good place to start if you're learning how to cook.
Little saute, stir fry, very basic stuff. I say to get better at anything cooking, what you need to do is you need to pick a dish. Let's say you take a chicken cacciatore or very easy, some chicken provençal, whatever, something easy, and do that chicken 3 or 4 times.
Coq au vin.
Coq au vin is a little more complicated, but it's not that
too bad.
Coq au vin has too many steps for a beginner, but
I think maybe one of the first things you should learn is how to butcher an entire steer. Don't you think? Don't you think you should know how to do that before you even light the stove?
Wow.
That would put a lot of people off cooking, don't you think?
What would you say about those vegan people? They need to go catch a cow and do that. They could debone a cow.
Yeah. That's a lot easier. It's a lot harder than it looks, though.
Yeah, it is. You have to find the bones.
We just had a little.
No, I would say take one dish, cook it several times, the same exact dish.
Yeah.
Then leave that dish, do another dish, and then go back to that dish without your recipe. Just try to use it, and that's it. And you'll know it. But the thing is, you will know that recipe forever without recipe. And then you just look at the recipe roughly to see if you forget something. But that's it, right?
And think about what you like to eat. You know, maybe your favorite thing is to eat mussels. So learn how to cook mussels.
Yep.
And do it a few times, and you'll see how easy it is, how fun it is, and how great it is to just be able to produce that in your kitchen. Good thing. Yes.
Very true. Very true.
But you should learn how to butcher an entire steer eventually.
Oh, good. Steer. What's the steer? The steer is the one with the big thing, no?
Yeah, big horns.
Yeah.
Step 1: take off the horns.
I thought it was called a deer. A deer.
I like to take the horns and put them on the hood of my Cadillac. That's
right. Aren't they called a deer? Those things.
A deer has horns too, but a steer is a male cattle that has big horns. But they don't all have horns, I don't think.
And a rabbit is different, right?
Rabbit has no horns at all. Right. Yeah.
So
and they're a lot easier to butcher too because they're smaller.
Yeah. Right.
Anybody skin a rabbit where they cut down at the feet, and then you can literally just pull the whole skin off like a sleeve of a jacket. It's a crazy thing. Some people get really freaked out about that because it's a bunny. But you know, I think meat is meat, and right. I like rabbit. You can't live on rabbit, but it's a good dish once in a while.
You know why you can't? There's no fat in there.
No fat, yeah. It's a totally lean meat, so you need to
it's too much protein.
Add fat to it,
either by
basting it or larding it or something.
I know.
But it's good. You can use rabbit to make coq au vin too. It's in the same way.
No, actually, the recipe is that's the recipe. It's
originally with rabbit.
Yeah. It is lapin. Comment ça s'appelle?
Lapin au vin.
Because my mom used to make it, and so the way they do it, they have to kill the rabbit.
Yeah, that's good to do first.
Yes. Remove the skin, and the rabbit has to marinate in the blood and white wine and herbs for 24 hours. Then you take that liquid and you reduce that. You make a sauce. You make a grand veneur sauce or coq au vin sauce, and then you cook the rabbit, and then you mix that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I used to go to this little French restaurant on the west side of Manhattan called Le Napoleon, and they had a whole Napoleon theme inside.
Wow.
They had pictures of him and everything. It was a very cool little place, small restaurant. French people owned it. All the servers were like these French women in their 40s, and it was just a blast from the past. I don't think it's there. But they had a dish. They had a rabbit in a mustard sauce was one of their house specialties. And it came in a little copper pot. They would bring you your individual pot to your table so you could take as much as you want and keep serving yourself. And it was so delicious.
Wow. Yeah.
Get a nice bottle of red wine.
That's fun.
It was very, very good. So we've got 4 minutes left. We got one more question. I think we should tackle it because it kind of ties into that last question. And a student asked, "What's more important, creativity or skill?" I think creative skill is important. I think you got to
that question.
Creative, but that's just me. Some people just walk into a kitchen and they just start doing stuff, and it somehow turns out okay.
I think it all depends how you were raised.
Yeah.
If you were raised with a lot of food around you, then you're very creative, and that's not always, but that's what I've noticed. And people are less creative when they have not been exposed to all this food. But it's not that it's not going to happen to them. It's just harder.
Yeah.
And lots of people are really willing. They go to the store, they discover things. They're really, really excited about the food. Some of my students have never seen some of the stuff like parsnip, rutabaga, turnip. They've never seen kale. They've never seen what was the last one? Last week was an interesting one. All the squash. We don't see a lot of squash in so it's interesting. There's a lot. It's cool.
Well, I was raised by wolves, so when I go in the kitchen, I usually just start tearing at the meat and funny looks when I go into people's kitchens, but
I know that too. Yeah,
I can't help it.
All right. Well,
so yeah,
so
that's what we have for today.
Tomorrow I'll invite Chef Gabby.
Okay, great. We're gonna be doing this for a while. The lockdown has been extended officially for at least through the end of May. So the governor extended today. So
really, when did that happen?
Today, I was told about it while I was waiting in line at the post office today. A customer of mine came in and he said, "Did you hear they officially extended the lockdown for another month?" Which makes sense. I kind of expected it.
Yep.
I've been pretty much assuming it wouldn't lift until sometime in June.
Yep.
So it'll all be good. We'll get through this, and
it's not good for everyone, but
we're all fortunate that we still have some food available to us, and the fact that everyone's in the same boat, I think, is great because people just you can't complain. It's just like everybody knows everybody's doing the same thing.
Right.
I heard a statistic today that the kids, they did a survey of all these teenagers, and because their lives are suddenly not so packed with things to do, that the depression levels in kids has gone way, way down.
Wow.
It was progressively rising for the last several years.
Wow.
Teen suicides were at an all-time high, and all of a sudden these kids are just having a chance to just chill, and they can. They've been getting people. They say they're getting along better with their siblings.
My boy is doing well. I mean, I have two, but the young one, the 14 one, is doing great. I mean, he's school and he plays basketballs a lot every day, and he's back in his back whatever. He has a hoop, and he's every day outside. He's very active, so I need to take him and I'm taking to the park and to run. He needs to run. But
Yeah.
other than that, yeah, he's pretty good. All right, Jen.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Not a threat, it's a promise.
I'm glad this week is good week. Good week.
Yes. So don't be afraid of your kitchens. Join us tomorrow, and we will see you then. Everybody be safe.
Yes, likewise.